And then it occurred to me that my mom likes durian. So I went to a fruit stand outside the market. Boss, how much does this durian cost per caddy? Chu Feng looked at the dozen or so durians in front of him, all of which were quite full in size. But buying a durian is like opening a blind box. Bigger is not always better and you have to take your chances. $38 a pound. The owner was a fat, burly man who looked 37 or 88 years old, with an inch of hair and tattoos on his arms. He gives off a very social look. That expensive? Chu Feng raised an eyebrow. He remembered that over in Shanghai City, the average price of a durian was only around 27 to 30. The boss was immediately unhappy when he heard him say it was expensive, and then explained. Harm, little brother. You see now at this time, where there are durians. Our durians here are imported from Thailand, golden pillow durians. You think it's expensive. I myself still think it's expensive. Chu Feng hesitated slightly for a moment, and without haggling any further, he agreed. Chang, pick one then. Since there were no other fruit stalls selling durian nearby, I didn't dwell on it anymore. Chu Feng, divine sense helps sweep the durian to see which one has more meat. Tang Shishir, my divine sense is used for this kind of thing? This request directly caught Tang Shishir a bit off guard. She was a great cultivator, the supreme of the devil's way. Divine sense is actually used to buy fruit? Although she had never seen the fruit covered in thorns, she could smell a pungent stench. Chu Feng saw that people refused, and could not force, so he had to bend down to open his own pick. As a result, just after a few glances, the woman's voice came into my head. Second from your left. Chu Feng, cough cough. It seems like you still care about me quite a bit. Tang Shishir, off. Who cares about you? One more chapter before 12. Please recommend. Ask for a reward. Please ask for a monthly ticket. End of chapter. Chapter 26 Blackmail, request for follow-up reading. Status, 429 from https://69 Shuba. me/txt/52849/344174442 failed to retrieve the content of this segment. No text content. Chapter 27, Going Home, request for catch-up reading. Chapter 27, Going Home, request for catch-up reading. Half an hour later, the three-wheeled motorcycle rattled into an arched village gate 7 or 8 meters high. You two young men are back from out of town, aren't you? The oldest man driving the car had just stopped, so he fished out a box of cigarettes from his pants pocket and smoked them to himself, while inquiring at the same time. As a result, he glanced backward and dropped the cigarette he had just lit in fright. That's one less person? He clearly remembered that he was carrying two people. Why did he change to one now? Here, the grandpa will give you money. Seeing his stunned look, Chu Feng hurriedly took out $30 and stuffed it in the past, then hurriedly got off and left. Is this a ghost in the middle of the day? Moncler outlet store scratching his head in agony. He began to talk to himself. The Xiujia village covered a large area, but the total number of households was only about 100, just one house in the east and one in the west, all spaced far apart. Yo, third master, where are you playing chess again? The Chu family boy is back. Come over here in the evening to play a game of chess with the Grand Master. Third auntie, I'm back. Come and have a durian. Yo, are you back from making a lot of money? These greetings are endless. The countryside is this good. Warm, even if the two families do not have any relatives but also have to call something, otherwise it will seem rude. For carrying a snakeskin bag of durians, I've seen some familiar relatives share one. After all, at home, only mom is the only one who loves to eat. So much can't be eaten. In the midst of this flurry of greetings, passing a small river, an ancient, very dated courtyard came into view. When I was a child, I heard his father say that a long time ago, their old Chu family was also a famous family, and it is said that their ancestors also conquered the sands and fell in love with Han Gaozu. Only then the generation was not as good as the generation, and by the time his old man was here only this ancestral home was left. Although many years have passed and the house has undergone some renovations, at first glance I thought I had traveled to ancient times. An old acacia tree in front of the door with a stone table and a few stone chairs underneath. Every summer dusk, the place is filled with neighbors chattering away. Chu Feng stood in front of the door, took a deep breath, and shouted, Mom, your son smashed back. As soon as the words fell, a 7 or 8-year-old lowly instantly rushed out of the house, with shoulder-length hair and a cute little round chubby face, especially those beautiful eyes that were as bright as the starry sky were very striking. Brother, why are you back? The little girl's milky voice pulled Chu Feng's big hand. Of course it's for coming back to see Tatsuki. My brother even bought you something delicious. Chu Feng stroked the little girl's head with a doting face. In fact, this is not his own sister, but the eldest uncle's son's daughter, because it was born in the month and hour, so the name is called Chu Chenyu. As for why he was at his house, it was mainly because the asshole couple had committed a crime and his own eldest uncle was in poor health, so he was fostered here. Originally, it was his niece according to seniority, but ever since this girl understood things she had treated Chu Feng as her older brother, in order not to hit her young heart, also can only hide it, said Chu Chenyu as his old father and mother old son born. Really? What's it good for? Chu Chenyu shook her large hand and asked curiously. Just then, Mom also came out of the house after hearing the sound. At first I thought I was hallucinating. After all, the video was only on last night, so how could it have run back this morning? Until she saw with her own eyes the Chu Feng standing outside the house. Her face immediately revealed a smile that was both delighted and amiable. Laughing and scolding. You kid, weren't you still in Jianhai City last night? How did you come back? Ahem. That Mom I actually came back to town last night. I just wanted to surprise you. Chu Feng naturally thought of a pretext and scratched his head in reply. That. Where's your girlfriend? Did she come back together too? Where is it? As it turned out, Mom pressed on without asking too much about the reason for her return, her eyes glancing around, trying to find the girl who looked like a good face. Chu Feng. She's been dropped off in town by me, so I'll go over and pick her up later. Is a real son no better than a daughter-in-law whose future is uncertain? As a result, the sound of these words just fell, only to see his old mom's face suddenly changed abruptly. A moment ago it was still windy and sunny, full of smiles, and in the blink of an eye it was already gloomy and dripping. Go pick me up first. What kind of a thing is it for you to make someone stay in town as a big girl? Is it okay to go after lunch? Chu Feng looked at the sky. It was already almost noon, and now this Tang Shishir didn't even know where to run off to. Big mouth to eat? Chu Feng. Apparently, Mom was upset. In her mind, it was hard to bring her girlfriend back from the city, only to be told she'd landed in town. As the words fell out of her mouth, Mom turned and went into the house. Chu Feng's face was helpless up. It seems that this old mom is wanting to daughter-in-law want crazy. But yes, after all, in the countryside, if anyone's son couldn't make a girlfriend and didn't get married, it would be gossiped about after dinner. That's why Mom was so anxious, afraid that her son would be a bachelor. By the way, where did my dad go? Ran off to your second oldest's house to play mahjong again. Seeing that his old mom was in a bad mood, Chu Feng also had no choice but to take Xinyu into the house and take out a large durian from the snakeskin bag and open it for him to eat, while at the same time dialing his old dad's phone and telling him that he was back. A mere 10 minutes passed after learning that his son had come home, and an upright figure stood in the yard. Pops, Chu Xiangyu, looks to be around 50 years old, and his appearance gives off a very competent feeling. Dressed in a gray jacket, close to 5'8", although quite fierce-looking, he appeared to speak amiably. Uncle is back. Seeing his dad come back, Tatsuki ran straight past him, so it was clear that the two were usually quite close. Why is your son back so suddenly? How is it? Are you tired of riding in the car? I heard your mom say you had a girlfriend. Did you bring her back this time? Chu Xiangyu inquired with a big smile. Chu Feng. The result is not yet waiting for him to reply. The house came his mom's voice. Your son put his girlfriend fell Baoji town. Ran back by himself. Chu Xiangyu? You asshole. You've lost your way before, and now you've left your girlfriend in town? As soon as Pops heard this, the smile on his face immediately stiffened and an output was directed towards him. Hurry up and go to town and pick up your girlfriend. I'll ask your mom to make some good food. Chu Feng. God. This trip home was a sin. Big sister. Where is he? It was a good thing that Tang Shishir had inflicted a sound transmission secret technique in his body, which could reach 1,000 miles. Otherwise he really didn't know where to find this woman. Tang sighs, what's the panic? Soon. The woman's transmission replied. Chu Feng, come over here quickly, or my life will be in danger. Ask for recommendations. Ask for a reward. Request for monthly tickets. Please turn the page. End of chapter. Chapter 28, Bringing the Empress to Meet Her Parents, Request for Follow-Up Reading. Chapter 28, Bringing the Empress to Meet Her Parents, Request for Follow-Up Reading. Tang Shishir, did you encounter a thug? Or did you run into a strong man? Chu Feng, neither. My mother and father want to meet your kind-faced girl. Tang Cici? Because Chu Feng didn't bring his girlfriend back. So just after lunch, his old mom and dad kicked him out of the house and went to the town to pick up someone before coming back. Before he left, he also saw the young couple began to clean up at home, and then listened to his mom say that she would also kill ducks and chickens to greet Tang Shishir in the evening. This makes Chu Feng some tears and laughter. The son came back at noon to eat a meal as vegetarian and meat. The night has become 9 meat and 1 vegetarian. How dare you think your son is less important than your daughter-in-law? But he didn't think too much of these things, because he knew very well the reason for coming back this time. Letting Tang Shishir help cure his old mom's disease, that would be called a family reunion. Because the village was crowded with people, Chu Feng rode his old man's small electric donkey to the highway outside the Xiujia village after eating. and at the same time, he transmitted his voice to tell Tang Shishir his location. As a result, I waited from 12:30 to 3 p.m. and my family called 3 times, but I didn't even see this woman. When Chu Feng impatiently wanted to continue transmitting his voice to urge him, he then saw a flash of light in the sky, turning around and landing in front of him. As a result, the first glance startled Chu Feng, only to see that at this time, Tang Shishir was still wearing Lolita, but a Chinese dress, that light purple brocade robe wrapped around her long, voluptuous body. A head of green silk was tied up high and held in a crown of pink hair, eyes like spring water, nose like hanging gall, white skin in a deep purple reflection, more human face. This is far better looking than the previous goth loli costume by 1,000 times. If she was in her before the ultimate seductress uniform, now that she had changed into this hanbok, she was like clear water out of a hibiscus. JK, where did you get that dress? Chu Feng was shocked. This ran out for a trip and even changed his clothes? But he remembered that the woman didn't have any money on her. It definitely couldn't have been bought, and there were no such fancy clothes for sale in Baoji town. This seed borrowed it. Tang Shishir's tone paused for a moment, and she replied with a straight face. In fact, it was that she had just seen an abundance of spiritual energy on a mountain peak in the distance, so she rushed there to recover. As it turned out, the spiritual energy was thick in just that one area, so she simply pumped out all the spiritual veins in the mountain. It led to a landslide. But fortunately the neighborhood was deserted and there were no casualties. Just as she was about to look for where else in the vicinity there were peaks with abundant aura, her divine sense suddenly caught sight of another city 100 miles away from Baoji town, where an event called something like Comic-Con was taking place. She noticed that the people attending this party were wearing all sorts of strange and even some unsightly clothing. Tang Shishir was curious, so she went to the Comic-Con alone, and happened to see this Chinese dress in front of a display case, and thought it was quite nice, so she borrowed it. Borrowed? Chu Feng was stunned for a moment, since he did not believe her nonsense. Taking out his cell phone, he snapped a picture towards her and then searched his browser for where the outfit came from. As a result, without checking, Chu Feng was directly shocked. This Chinese costume is a treasure at the Factory State Comic-Con, with a price tag of more than 120,000 yuan. Only one set, and it is not for sale, but only for tours. Can we discuss one thing? Chu Feng lightly sighed. He knew that it was definitely unrealistic to make this woman undress, but it's also sure to get you in big trouble if you wear it out. What is it? Tang Shishir was disdainful when she saw the fuss he was making. It's okay to wear these clothes now, but can we change them when we go back? After all, the village is now full of old men and women who are not aware of the price of such garments. But back in the city, that's a problem. Tang Shishir blinked and actually followed his example, smiling and saying, then we'll talk about it when we go back. Without waiting for Chu Feng to reply, she walked in the direction of Xiujia village on her own, while looking at the nearby scenery from afar. At close to 4 o'clock, the two finally made it back to the village. This time the elders were shocked after seeing Tang Shishir's astonishing looks. Hey, go and see. That Chu family kid brought back a nice big beautiful sister. How pretty. As pretty as my old lady? Che, your old companion is no match for 100. Go and see. For a while, the village exploded. Coupled with the fact that communication devices are very advanced nowadays, in a moment's time the word spread throughout the village that Chu Feng had brought back a big sister. Along the way, it was inevitable to run into some greetings from relatives and friends, and Chu Feng could only greet them with a smile on his face. The only thing asked to be done was for Tang Shishir to keep quiet and just nod her head along with shaking it. Otherwise, he was really afraid that this woman would speak out of turn and say something inexplicable. When he returned to the front door of the house, he only saw that his father and mother and Tatsuki were waiting outside with happy faces. Aya, girl, come over here. I'm afraid you're exhausted from this journey, right? It's my family's asshole's fault for being useless and leaving you behind in town. Mom was the first to walk up, and even directly pulled Tang Shishir's wrist, bringing her towards the house. The family all entered the house with happy faces, and as a result, Chu Feng was left outside, unattended. Sins, he spat alone, before following him in. Here, girl, eat the durian. It's sweet. Inside the living room, a few people had just sat down when Mom handed a plate of durians to Tang Shishir. For her to dress up in this Chinese costume, if placed in the past, old Mom and Dad would probably have a wine. But now that it's the internet age, and you can swipe at people wearing these clothes every day on short video apps, you think it should be trendy, and you stop making a big deal out of it.